Welcome back, dude and dudettes, to another wild episode of Send It Mate. We're here to talk about all things hunting and outdoors. And today, we've got something that'll keep your gear running smoother than a dingo's getaway.
That's right. Our show is brought to you by High Caliber, the gun and knife oil company that knows how to keep your firearms and blades in tip-top shape.
High Caliber is like the secret sauce for hunters, anglers, and outdoorsy folk everywhere. It's like the magic potion that makes your gun and knives happier than a dog with two tails.
You know, guys, I've been using High Caliber oil for a while now, and let me tell you, it's the duck's nuts. My rifle practically sings a lullaby when I take it out hunting.
And speaking of lullabies, ever tried sneaking up on a deer with a squeaky gun? It's a prime way to end up with no venison in the freezer. You'll be hungrier than a vegan at a bacon festival.
Absolutely. But with High Caliber oil, your gun will be quieter than a ninja in moonlight. You'll be stalking your prey with the grace and stealth of a mountain lion.
High Caliber doesn't just keep things quiet, it also prevents rust and corrosion, so you won't find your gear looking like it spent a season at the bottom of a creek.
That's right, and for you knife enthusiasts out there, High Caliber has got you covered too. Your trusty blade will slice through anything smoother than butter on a hot biscuit.
So, folks, don't let your gear become a rusty, squeaky mess. Head on over to highcaliber.com.au and grab a bottle of their oil today.
And if you use the code SENDITMATE at checkout, you'll get a special discount. I say again, use the code SENDITMATE for all your oil slick, stealthy hunting needs.
Thanks to High Caliber, you'll be sending it in style and silence.
So, gear up, oil up, and send it, mate. High Caliber, the ultimate oil for the ultimate hunter.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Send It Mate podcast. I'm Caleb.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Couchy.
And we are on location tonight with a special guest.
It's quite daunting, to be honest.
Bit of a change of scenery.
It's a wee bit more professional.
It is. We're looking at a professional setup for the first time. We have bright lights in our faces, and it kind of feels good though.
It does. Does it?
Well,
I can't see Couchy. I'm like deer in headlights.
Josh is struggling with the performance anxiety already before we've even kicked away, but it's all good. We have a special guest with us tonight. We've got Rusty, and you may know him from one of many things: Impact Dynamics, PRS, Scoped Out, Projectile Warehouse, you name it. Rusty, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much. I thought that might be a benefit if you couldn't see Couchy.
Yeah.
I thought that was a plus for you, but
I think it's a benefit for me. You can't see.
He is pretty gross to look at. So.
Right, yeah.
wow, he got real harsh real quick.
Small man syndrome, that.
Yeah. Well, you got to make it up somewhere. If it's not in height, you got to make it up in attitude.
Or we just sling insults at each other when we're slightly nervous. I think that's just what.
That's the other thing.
Is that it? Just get stuck into each other.
Yeah, just deflect.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
yeah, we are quite excited tonight, Rusty, to get to know you better, hear a bit about your business adventures and your outdoor life. So I think, boys, what do you reckon? Shall we just get straight into the questions and then we can digress wherever we need to?
It's cracking up.
We can.
There will be tangents, I'm sure. We've already had a few before we press record.
Exactly. Well, we'll talk about where we're sitting at the moment as well in your lovely office space with the downstairs area, which we just had a tour of before. But Rusty, first question. It's an easy one, mate. Where are you from?
From Adelaide, from same place as you guys.
Awesome.
Born and bred here however many years ago, and I've travelled but not ever lived anywhere else.
Good. Yeah, well,
No reason to, right? No reason to.
From the CBD or Burbs?
From just south. Yeah, just south. In fact, I actually grew up in the suburb we're in now.
Oh,
Where I've spent my first 8 years here.
Oh.
there you go. Well, we're from, I grew up in the Adelaide Hills and then I've always been northeast.
Mm-hmm.
And I find the south very foreign. It's a weird thing. Like you get the other side.
We try and keep you guys out. That's why this is intentional. So you guys feel like, I really don't feel comfortable down here. That's intentional.
Fair enough.
It is. It's like you're driving like an hour down the road from where we live and then you're in a different part of the country. It's a strange feeling, to be honest. It's sort of swanky, but, you know, no, not really.
Swanky. Have you been to Christie's Beach?
Yeah, it's sort of like half swanky. It's
Oh,
on the
hang on.
beach.
How far south are we going? Because washing my hands is that far south.
Okay, so not the dirty south, just
Not the dirty
just
south.
south of the city. Fair
Just
enough.
south of the city. Yep. Yep. Within sort of 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes maybe.
Okay.
Keep it within that.
Well, anything with beach in its name is it just sounds automatically appealing. Christie's Beach. Like, oh, that sounds like a nice place to live.
Yeah, give it a crack. Go on.
I'll take my meth and head down there.
You'll last 2 seconds down there then. All right, let's keep it rolling with Rusty. What's your favourite food?
Well, we'll go with pizza because we seem to order that a lot here, and I'm sure that's a pretty common one. Nothing elaborate, but we'll stick with pizza.
Is there a favourite?
All of them. Yeah, pretty happy with all of them. Best pizza I've ever had has been in. So we travel over to Vegas for shot show. Now it's every year, and there's a place there called Giorgio's, something on those lines. I know where it is, and they do deep dish pizza. And so you're talking. So we went there originally with a guy from Darwin called Butters, really good competition shooter, keen hunter as well. And we went there, and they said, for the two of you guys, you should get a small. And we're like, looked at them, and I'm not a small guy, and Butters is not big bloke, but he's not tiny either. We're like, really? We should get a small? And they're like, yeah, you guys should get a small. They were correct because the pizza came out about 1.5 inches thick, and we only just completed it and stuffed ourselves to complete it. It was it's pretty amazing pizza.
So it's more like a pie.
It is pretty much like a pie. It is it is thick. And so when I was there earlier this year, I on the last day as I was heading to the airport, I grabbed you can buy by the slice as well. So I grabbed a slice, and that was enough. There was a lot of pizza in that. So
Very good.
yeah, and we there would be tangents. I told you.
You like it? Well, here's another one. Pineapple on
I was
pizza
gonna ask
or
that.
not?
Of course, yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing
You're
wrong
not-
with any toppings on pizza.
The pineapple's great.
Because it's all going to taste like the same thing after
When
a
it
couple
comes
of
up.
chews.
Did you say? Wait, how are you going to taste it when it comes out?
Comes up.
Oh, when it comes out. Wow.
When it comes out.
I mean, but neither's great. But all right. How much Jack Daniels have we got here tonight?
It's only my second.
Let's order some pizza.
Sounds good. All right, Rusty, what's your first job?
My first job was newspaper boy, riding around the suburbs, flicking out newspapers.
Did you ever deliberately throw one at someone?
100%. Well, more so the cats. Cats were a favourite target. And then turns out I was allergic to the ink and started getting out huge rashes from folding the papers because back then we had to fold them yourself. And I had to give it up. I mean, the last month, my parents doing it all because I literally couldn't go near the damn things. So yeah,
Wow, that's different.
that was unexpected from my point either.
Did you still get paid for
Of course I did.
month?
My whole $13 a month you made.
I think you just worked out if you made up an excuse of why you couldn't do it, your parents would do it for you.
I've done that all my life. All my life. My dad actually runs a shop here.
Just allergic to customers.
That's a corker. All right, Rusty, if you could trade places with anyone in the world, who would that be?
Probably Josh because he's not being interviewed right now. Yeah, not the Josh here. No. I have no idea. Do you know what? Nothing's perfect about life, but you have to accept what you've got and or take that. But if we had to choose someone, we'd probably. I mean, Daniel Ricciardo gets a lot of attention, doesn't he? He's not traveling the world. I mean, he can't drive a car at the moment, but it's not a terrible lifestyle.
Hang on. Who?
Oh, God.
Yep, that's right. Support Australians. Good job.
Sorry, who?
Formula One driver.
Oh.
He's Australian.
Yeah.
He's from WA. He's a good bloke. He's the guy that does a shoey.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been having a rough few seasons, but
he's been
it's
struggling.
still going all right.
Yeah, no. It's
I think a
Well,
rough
you're not
season.
invited to our F1 podcast, are you?
Josh just immerses himself so much in the outdoor hunting and shooting lifestyle that he just doesn't know about anything else.
Fair enough. That's right.
See, I'm even making excuses for you,
I
mate.
think it's more the algorithms on the YouTube don't come up with that sort of stuff.
You're topping a lot of wrong things, mate.
Is it though? Is it the
Yeah, no, I'm not even willing to repeat it. I know you guys go pretty deep on this podcast.
Well, if you're on YouTube, you're in the wrong platform for that.
Oh no, there's a dark side. Yeah,
Wait, tell me more.
you know all about. You wrote it.
Well, speaking of the dark side, what's the most dangerous thing you've ever done, Rusty?
talking to you. Sorry. Go on.
No, talking to you. The most dangerous thing I've ever done. That's going to have to take a little bit. It's not the most dangerous because this would be underselling it. But I can tell you something that we probably shouldn't have done. And then maybe I'll think of another story. We were out in New South Wales, country New South Wales, on this 250,000 acre property, and we got lost a little bit. There's no reception, no GPS. We didn't have GPS. We're not that smart, nor do we have the money to buy anything at that stage. I'll go with not that smart. And we thought, all right, we're proper lost here on a massive property. We've got no idea where we are. It's 4 a.m. We've got I think one of the lads from Night Force from the US had come over, so he was useless at navigation because didn't know the area. And we knew that the house we were trying to get to was north, and the highway was west. So we figured if we could go north or west, we would eventually get somewhere, either the road that would take us back to the main the property, or we'd end up at the property, at the house. So we decided we would just drive north or west and never change from that. And so we're driving along, we're sort of going through all the gaps, and this is in a Hilux, and we came to this sort of semicircle of trees, and it was just we couldn't go north or west. We would have had to go something else, some other direction to be able to get around this. And I'm like, well, that's not part of the game plan. And I'm eyeing off all the trees, and I looked at 2 of them, and I'm like, yeah, I reckon we might make this work. So I said, all right, boys, hold on. And we floored it into this tree. I, fortunately enough, did pick the dead one, and it collapsed straight down. And we moved it out the way and drove through and kept on going north and west. It probably wasn't the smartest thing to do in hindsight, and just flooring a car at a tree that you hope is dead. But we did. And another time so I told you I think another one. Yeah. Another time we were out spotlighting early morning, and we were on a property we knew extremely well. Like, we knew every part of it, could almost drive it blindfolded. And there was one area that we didn't drive around because we for reasons that had long been lost to time, because we'd been shooting on this place for 15 years or something. And so we came up and we were chasing fox or something along those lines. We had the general operations manager for Night Force in the US on the back, one of the techs from Australia on the back, and I was in the cab. And we're flying through this long grass, and it's the foxes run through the area that we never drove in. And we never remembered why we didn't drive in there. And in the split-second decision I had, I didn't remember why we didn't drive in there until we drove in there, and there was a mound that was as high as the tall grass, which would have been sort of nipple height, and we hit the mound, and we launched a Hilux.
I'm sorry, but as a unit of measurement, nipple height.
Nipple height, yeah.
Okay, most people would say chest height.
I was trying to be more specific than that. I was trying to be more accurate. See, long-range shooting, that's what I'm into. You got to be more accurate. So we're back to the nipple height mound, and you're flying along this in this Hilux at 60, 70 k an hour, hit this mound, and we launched. And we cleared 7 meters, completely in the air before we landed. My face into the steering wheel, and the steering wheel on the Hilux gave way, and so that whatever brackets are in there is designed to drop. Apparently, and I smashed my face into it. The steering wheel dropped on the ground, and I had the I guess instinct to not slam the brakes on because I had 2 lads on the back, and went, I definitely should not do that, and didn't slowed up, got out, and just made sure they were okay. Fortunately enough, they were both okay. We weren't in the best condition, but we were all okay. And the gun was all safe because that's how we roll. The guns are always open, bolts open, and ammo's not ready to roll until we are ready to take the shot. Yep. And so that was all okay. But I tell you what, we made sure everything was good. We're like, all right, oh wow. And then a mate of ours came out that morning. And we were meant to spend the day long range shooting. Yep. And so he rolled in. We were all just laying on the ground, not just trying to stomach what had happened and recover. And there's 7 in the morning. He rolls up and he's all pumped because he's about to shoot a mile or something like that. And it's like all excited. And he rolls up and gets out the car and he's like, "Morning, guys, how are you?" And we're just this groan back to him, and I think we were not interested at all. Fortunately enough, everyone was okay, but that was probably the most dangerous thing I can think of. wasn't smart, and we worked out why we never drove into that area again.
Real quick.
Wasn't long grass.
No.
Was the
wasn't
Hilux
all
or
on-
what?
The Hilux blew out all the suspension.
Oh.
And the steering wheel apparently, I rang a mate who worked for Toyota and told me that you could actually push it and clip it back in. So that was useful. But I had to replace all the suspension. So I went down to wherever you get suspension replaced, tyres and stuff. And I went in there and I said, "All right, this is what happened. This is why it's trashed. This is factory suspension." I said, "Give me something that, will be much better." And when I went and picked it up a week later or whatever, the guy's like, "Right, you could do that same thing. You'll be fine. You just drive away without concern." And I'm like, "All right, well, hopefully I never try that." But, we sold that car eventually, happily.
There you go. Never buy a used car from Rusty.
Not that one. Not that one.
How'd the boys on the back manage to hang on?
Arms around, I guess.
That's a fair effort.
Yeah, and I mean, we hit the ground and kept rolling, so kept going. And then I don't know why I didn't, but I didn't slam the brakes on because I figured if something had happened to those guys, I kind of want to not, can you imagine hitting the ground and then slamming the brakes on and they would end up over the top of the van or something. And we were so fortunate. We'd been half a foot left or right of this mound, we would have gone an angle because it dropped away. So we nailed it. We nailed it.
So it was real redneck like spotlighting.
Yeah. No, we had the Confederate flag on the roof.
What's her name from Dukes of Hazzard playing in the background? What's that? Oh, what's the lady's name? Oh, blonde chick. She's a singer.
I can't think of the name.
Are you talking about Jessica Simpson, who
that's
played
it,
Daisy Duke?
That's it.
Okay.
Oh, I thought we were doing the original series. Starting to show the age now.
Different vintage, Rusty.
Different vintage. Right.
Yeah, wow, nice
Good.
one, man.
Anyway, carry on.
All
Carry
right.
on.
Well, your next question is, what's the best piece of advice you've ever
Don't
been
do
given?
that.
I somehow thought that was going to be the answer, but
Don't do that. What was the question? Sorry.
what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Ever been given? It's a good question.
Could be
Unprepped.
in life in general.
Yeah,
Could be in
let's
business.
go with 0 is better than 1. Right.
I think you have to expand on that one.
Yeah, I will. It's not obviously not my piece of advice, but it's been meaningful to me in that sometimes your desires are right up here, like what you're aiming for is up here. Business is where it works, and in general life, like often you've got some like a decision or a goal in mind that you're trying to achieve, right? And sometimes you're not willing to take some you work up to it. Sometimes you sort of just like, I just want to be super, like, I don't know, like super good at hunting, right? I want to be amazing at hunting. And so you don't do any of the things that actually like would be good because you might be embarrassed about how the result for you. My world now more so is competition shooting. Mm-hmm. You don't shoot a comp because you're embarrassed about that you don't want to come last.
Yeah.
And sorry, what did I say is the quote?
0 is better than 1.
No, other way around. See, I tricked you all. No, one is better than 0. 1 is greater than 0. And so getting one run on the board is better than none.
Yep.
Getting and sort of keep going. To just taking the little wins from time to time when you can is better. I bollocks that up from the start. But how many G's do we have? But one is greater than 0, and so you're always taking like a little step. And so if your goal is to be the most amazing hunter, well, you got to start somewhere. And you got to start with that. You can't. You would meet these guys who sort of talk about all the massive hunting plans they want to do, and they want to go to New Zealand and get a helicopter dropped into somewhere, all this sort of gear. But they actually haven't taken a rifle out and gone and shot a deer. And so they got these amazing, which is great. It's great to have goals in life and things, but you actually need to go and put the work in to work towards that. And so being able to sort of get one run on the board is better than just sitting at home and doing nothing.
It's true.
I like it.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Now,
Once I got it right,
We got there.
But, well, that's interesting you say that because last weekend was my second time to Monardo, actually, and I watched the PRS comp that they had there. And I want to do it, but it's like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to shoot in front of all these people. But, I mean, that's very true. I mean, you're not going to get better unless you just do it. Yeah. So.
It's so true. Yeah, it's so true, and you see that in so many areas that we face that one. And I'll be honest. Like, so I shot my first PRS match after being connected to this stuff for 7 years. So, the PRS kicked off in 2017. We were running comps before that. I'd shot matches before, but I've never shot a top level PRS match. And, people have an expectation for you, or perhaps it's imagined, but you feel people have an expectation. Well, the PRS director, you meant to run all these comps, you should be at the top end. I'm like, well, I'm not going to be because I don't shoot anything. And I don't do it. And, I'm too busy organising the events and stuff like that. And so I went up and shot in Darwin, had a ball of the time, and we just put a video out about it, which was a bit of a raw thing of like, I didn't do amazing. Did all right, but you've got to actually go out and have a go. And so same with a lot of the guys who get stuck into whip, be it hunting, be it whatever it might be, having a crack at it. And you go out there and you do really poorly and you come last. But the chances are no one cares. Like I tell you now, from being at every level of PRS, both from the little club matches here to the ones we used to do in the out in the paddocks, through to stuff at the international stage. No one cares where you come, particularly in your first one. If you rock up and you point the gun in the right direction, they're all cheering you on. Like that's you've done extremely well. And so, but sometimes it does take a little bit to sort of self-reflect and go, oh, actually, but they probably don't care. Do be safe and do those sort of things well, and ask heaps of questions. But actually, people with hobbies, which is my business works in what for majority of people, majority of our business is in people with their hobbies. People like seeing other people get involved with the hobby because they know that that's good for what you do. And of course, there's wankers out there, but in general, someone's joins and I don't know if you guys do anything with ADA or something like that, but a new member goes along to ADA, you're stoked for them because they're taking that step to get involved, to learn more. They're showing that they're interested in whatever they're doing and they're wanting to get more involved. And I think that is so critical, and that's where that one is greater than zero. Doing something is better than nothing. So I encourage you to give it a crack, man, and whatever it might be.
I mean, we're very passionate about getting new people involved in the sport, but something I think we've found as a perception out there to people who are interested in getting into it is there's so much polished content out there when they watch it on YouTube or whatever, and they think you have to be a sniper to go hunting and that you have to be at this level straight off the bat, and it actually discourages people from giving it a go. Yeah. So it's good seeing sort of other content out there where people are having a laugh and they're showing the fuck-ups. Yeah. Which is what you should show, because you go out with any group of mates hunting or target shooting or whatever, it never goes to plan 100% all the time, as you would know. So I think it's important to also show people that, on social media and on YouTube and things like that, just to make it more accessible for people, because people just don't want to give it a go. There's too much of a, I don't know, it seems like it's a too high a level to get into. So, yeah, well, it's more of a statement than a question. But
certainly seemed like a
Watch out, there's a comment.
It certainly seemed more of a boys' club like 10 years ago, and that discouraged a lot of people. Or if you didn't know someone, you certainly weren't going to get very far at the range or out hunting and things like that. So but it's gotten better with people like yourself supporting hobbies and things like that. It's making it easier for people to certainly come and try it. I was surprised with Monardo actually, because they have that you can just come along. Pay
it's a sweet range.
Yeah, the first one's free and the second one's $25, and they're surprisingly relaxed. They're still safety conscious, but they're not Nazis at the range, and that was inviting. It was warming. It was different to see, especially some other ranges out there. Like they can be a little bit harsh, especially if it's their first time seeing you.
Yeah, you understand that.
There you go. All right, Rusty, next one. What is your most treasured possession?
I would probably say the rifle I've got at the moment. I'll say that. I don't know if you guys have seen the rifle I've got at the moment. I don't expect you to have, but it's a rainbow painted long range rifle.
Seen it. It's hideous.
We do stalk people before we do podcasts.
Hideously gorgeous. No, and the reason that that's the most treasured possession is I'm a big one for possessions. I don't keep a lot of stuff, and I'm happy to move stuff on pretty quickly. But that was given to me by the PRS community in 2019. Which was a bit of a rough year for me, and a couple of the guys got together and went, Rusty doesn't shoot these matches, we should get him something. And that was for 2019. That was a big factor for me in terms of not having the right equipment to be able to have a go. And they were going to buy me a chassis because I had like a barreled action or something like that, and I was trying to put something together. I just didn't have the money for it, and that apparently evolved without my knowledge from a chassis to end up being a chassis with a bit of extra work done to it, to an action, to a barrel to end up being a full gun. And I had no idea. Looking back now, I can see all the signs that they're asking me questions and stuff like that. And of course, they'd listen to the podcast and we talk about where we were planning. And so I had no idea. And at the finale, what was really odd, so a guy called Lucas won the series, and I gave him his prize, and he said, do you want to say something? He's like, no, but these guys want to. And I'm like, you just won the national series. Like, well, surely, for my benefit, can you say something? Anyway, and then one of the guys walks up and, makes a speech and then gives me a gun. And then they gave me a card for it, and there was 60 names in there, and a dozen businesses and stuff like that. And it would just, it put me in tears as it would. And so, we just spent the last 3 weeks, or there was about a 7-day period. We actually shot it for the first time in 3 years.
Yeah, nice.
It took a while, and we shot it and then did 3 videos basically back to back on it, and with that sort of coming together in Darwin to shooting that match. So I'd have to say that thing has a lot of meaning and a lot of attachment to it as to sort of how it came about. So
was that because of all the work you'd done for the PRS?
I have no idea why they did it, but
because I've heard rumours. Rumours. Yeah, well, Jacob actually told us. Yeah, I was like, okay.
I don't know. I honestly, it probably snowballed out of control. But there's a few guys who sort of and people wanted to put in, and it was a tough year, and it ended up in that, which was way too generous, and I'm still not entirely sure. I certainly don't feel deserving of it, but I have it, and the best thing that I think I can do is use it to honour the people that did that, and then also use it to sort of promote the sport to try and get more people involved.
Yeah.
So I feel very much both amazingly looked after by being given it, but also very compelled to sort of use that rifle to sort of do what we can. So to grow the sport.
Very nice.
It's an MDT chassis, isn't it? The LSX?
No, it's KRG.
Oh, right.
KRG chassis. Yeah.
Okay, I've got the wrong one in my head. Yeah, right. What action?
It's an impact action.
Impact?
Yeah, one of the guys actually won an action voucher on a prize table, and he donated that.
Oh.
And then the company it was a different action, but the company that supplied that action supplied Impact, and they knew that Impact. So a mate of mine is one of the guys behind Impact Action, so they knew that I wanted an Impact because of that connection, and so that company graciously sort of allowed him to use the voucher for a different product. For that sort of thing. So it was a whole sort of amazing sort of and the paint job on it's like $2.5 grand worth. It's rainbow from front to back with tiger stripes on it. Yeah. And if you don't know the cartridge itself is a 6GT, which is a cartridge put out by George Gardner of in the US of now I've forgotten their company name, and people who know are yelling at me. But anyway, one of George's his design designed the cartridge and it came out as a 6GT, which is George and Tom, the two guys behind it. But it got renamed by one of the meme pages as the Gay Tiger. And then they went full blown with it, and so you can then see how I end up with a fully rainbow. And the reason I ended up with that is I'd asked the guys at Delta Tactical, like, could they do that? Could they achieve like a rainbow gun with black? And this is just when I was thinking about doing it as a bit of fun, and so really leaning into the cartridge. And of course they then took that and did that behind my back, and away we go.
Fair enough. Oh dear. Does this correlate with any of the rumours you were hearing?
Oh, this is all the rooms. and some of the ones he found on dark YouTube.
No, a rumour, a friend just told us, but yeah, that pretty much was most of the story that I got actually. But no, it's a nice looking rifle. I have heard that.
You didn't mean that.
Yeah, no, I didn't. No, not at all. Lies.
You can say I'll give you some tips. It's a very unique rifle. It's very distinct. It's an easy. So if you're at a match and you got 80 people to match, you can find your rifle really easily. These are the terminology you should use.
Yeah, it's because there's parted the sea of people. No one's around it. That's what.
Yeah, that's right. It has an aura, is what you're saying.
So it sounds like the PRS community is pretty tight knit.
They are, but they're also amazingly welcoming.
Yep.
Yeah, like they're tight knit and they look after each other, which is amazing.
Yep.
But not in the exclusive way of they don't talk to new people or that sort of thing, which I'm pretty excited about. Like you said, you went up to Monado and sort of felt welcome, and they were that's a club that's been born out of that community of where that community started. So.
Yeah, and I had a good run. I think the first time I was there with our mate as well.
Oh yeah.
And we're just walking along at the end of the sort of what we were going to do, and just walking along, having a look at pistols and all that. And guys like, "Do you want to use it?"
Yeah.
Again, just had a shot of the 9mm, and it was good fun. And just he hasn't met me, I haven't met him.
Yeah.
And they're just willing to do that. So
yeah,
that's true. Actually, I shot, and the people are incredibly welcoming. They will let you shoot their rifles as well. Which the other day I got to shoot it was an Accuracy International with a new.
That would have been Jack.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
And a hot damn.
With the red chassis. Is it red chassis or green chassis?
I think it was green.
Yep.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could go to a gun shop tomorrow and drop 13 grand on that easy.
I'll call Danny. He looked up.
Oh dear.
Well, we should probably ask at this point then, how did you become involved? How did that all come about?
Oh wow. Right. Well, yeah. Let's go back a while. So, 2008, I started working at a gun shop part time. This is the life story level. Sorry. But anyway, I worked at a gun shop, and over a number of years I worked there. I worked for some manufacturers as well. And I got to a point where I'm like, you know what I'd love to do? And you see these guys would come in to the shop and they'd be like, I want to buy a 300 Win Mag. And you're like, okay, cool, man. Like, what other guns have you got? Oh, this is my first gun. And you're like, oh, like, that's cool. You can buy what you want, but there's some other options while you're learning. And you're like, okay, cool. What gun do you want? Oh, Ticket T3 Light. And you're like, oh no. It's just like, there's nothing wrong with that as a gun.
Yep.
But if that's your first gun, your first exposure to shooting, there's some real potential problems there. And you guys may be nodding because you know, but a really heavy recoiling gun in a really light gun, that is going to punch you hard. Now, that's not to say that people can't handle it, but you go out, you get your first gun, and you ask these guys further. Okay, well, great. What have you got a chance to shoot? Oh, mate's got some rabbits. You're like, okay, that's great. So what's going to happen here, and sort of time and time again, is that people would go out, they'd get their 300 Win Mag and a really light gun, they'd go up to a mate's paddock, or they go up to the range and they'd put 50 rounds through it, 100 rounds, because they don't have an opportunity to go shoot deer. They don't have an opportunity to go shoot something where that 300 Win Mag is warranted. And you guys know, you go out shoot deer for a weekend or a week or something, you're taking a couple of shots. Right, you're not taking 50, and so the times you have to deal with that recoil, that's fine. No big deal. We're all big blokes, and you can handle it. You hold the gun right, you're good. But you sit at a range for an hour and you shoot 50 rounds through. You're not loving life, and you're new, and you don't quite know how to get this thing sighted in, and you're getting frustrated with it, and so many of those came back, and guys are like, I just want to get rid of it. And they actually put them off shooting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I would sort of look over the counter and be like, man, if I could spend 4 hours with you, I would teach you all the mistakes I've done for the last 15 years. And you would then probably buy a 22 or a 2D3, or more importantly, I'd go, hey, what do you got access to shoot like now? And they'd go, oh, I can go shoot rabbits at my mate's house. Great, grab a 22 or a 17 HMR. They go, oh, I've got an opportunity to go up and shoot goats in the Flinders. Oh, that's awesome, man. 243 or 308 or something on those lines. Oh, I've got an opportunity to go shoot deer, in high country. All right, mate. Well, let's find a balance here for you. maybe 2 to 3 to practice on, and then a 300 Win Mag to actually go and achieve that. Whatever it might be. But and so I started up some training. And so we would take guys out for a day or a weekend or a half a day and teach them some basic marksmanship principles, and we would teach them some like rifle selection choices and scope selection choices and do that sort of thing. And I had no idea what I'm doing, but I'd worked enough and I'd shot enough by this point to get a bit of an understanding. But I leveraged a couple of guys. A guy had been shooting all his life and spent about 3 years semi-retired. And semi-retired mean he quit his job way too early and just sat at the range every day, but got extremely good to the point where he's represented Australia for the national, international level. And he came out and was a trainer. I had a guy who'd been to the Olympics who came out as a marksmanship trainer. So I had some guys who really knew what they're doing, and then some guys who were lifelong hunters come along and teach with me. And so we did some good things and got a number, and guys I still communicate with now who, got their start of an understanding of what was going on. And we weren't teaching anything amazing. It was just some basic stuff of, we would do one thing where we'd put in, we'd set up a gun for them, put a magazine in, and then put like a dummy round mixed in the magazine and film them. And they'd go through and they'd flinch like crazy on a 2-3 because they just went click, and you'd show that back to them, and you're like, I reckon this is why you're missing. And they were aware it was going to happen somewhere, and little things like that. So we would then give them exercise to work on the flinch, and then repeat the process later on, and you would see that would improve significantly. Little things like that. And we were always into long range shooting, but we never felt confident enough to actually teach people that, because there's a bit going on with long range shooting. And then, some of the guys who'd done 2 or 3 courses with us were like, well, we want to do what you guys do. They're like, we're not very good at doing what we do. And so I sort of partnered up with a couple of mates who did know how to do it. And I was very much learning at this stage, but we wrote a course and tweaked it and changed it and sort of narrowed it down to what we thought was very useful. And it was around this time we started podcasting as well, and took everyone. I took a mate of mine out who was a farmer, who was the usual 100 metres, 150 metres, point, shoot, bang, thing drops down because you've done it a million times, and he was a pretty good shooter. But you try and put a target at 300 metres, and I didn't know he just points and shoots and misses. Okay. So I took him out to a mate's property and said, all right, if I can teach this guy how to get on 1,000 metres in a reasonable amount of time, all right, maybe we do it. So spent some time with him, showed him what we're doing, shot a little bit at 100, and then I think his second shot at 1,000 metres he was on target. And he was on target, not me putting him on target. Yep. I went, all right, okay, I don't know if I'm going to be good at this, but I can at least do it. So we had 2 of our guys who were regular clients who would come out, and they came out to our first long-range course, and we learnt more than they did. But they both continued to shoot with us at PRS matches and stuff for the next 5 years or so, and they both sort of got their start in long range shooting, and they gave us heaps of feedback, and I think we sort of charged them half price of what we think it would be worth or whatever we did, and they both rocked up with mil scopes. I was running MOA at this stage. I'm like, oh crap, I need to learn. I think I came back from that weekend and sold all my MOA scopes and bought mil. Because I'm like, I know how to do MOA, now I need to learn how to do mil. And this would have been sort of 2014, 2015. And we started down that long range path. And of course you can learn, and it's not so sexy learning just how to pull a trigger and to go and shoot your 100 metres and shoot better at that, which we hope people would like. But you start doing the long range element to it, and people are like, oh, we can't achieve that without learning something. And so we were flat out doing that sort of stuff, running courses, and we end up with like week-long courses. Guys that come from all around the country to come to a course and do this sort of thing. We got to a point where we thought, well, this is all good, but a lot of guys don't have opportunity to hunt to this distance, and you need a lot of I'm a firm believer that you can sort of hunt at whatever distance is appropriate, but you need to be extremely good at that distance. You need to know it extremely well, those sort of distances. So a lot of guys can't hunt at the distances, and we always shoot targets way further than we would ever hunt, because you've got a lot more margin for error with target shooting. And so we thought, well, what would be good is like some sort of every year we do a competition where people can come along that have done a course with us and go and shoot and, do some stuff that's interesting and fun and mimics a hunting scenario. And then they can go and either do another course with us or go and practice more or whatever it is, then come back next year and see if they can do better. And we weren't competition shooters by any stretch. I'd never been a member of a club at this stage. I just thought this would be fun. And then so we planned it. We sort of 22 shooters I think we invited that had done courses with us, invited them and maybe a mate of theirs to come along. And we had this all organised. And about 2 weeks prior to it, someone sent me a video link to what's this thing called PRS in the US. And I've watched this video and I'm like, that is exactly what we were going to do. Like, pretty much to the letter, like, different stages, different ideas, but that is pretty much the path we're going down. It was all born out of sort of hunting. We just thought, these are things that we would, we would engage a target at, 200, 400, 800, and these are sort of engagements you might have, but you only have limited time on each one, for example. Or you have to shoot at 200 and then 400 and 200 and 400 and 200 and 400. These are things that you might encounter in the real world. They're good skills to build. And so we saw this PRS thing and went, oh, wow, that's really similar. So we started watching all their videos and went, that's not a bad idea. We'll give that a go. And so we ran our competition. We went well. And then we did it the year later, but in between time we end up over in the US and meeting with the guys over there to discuss actually running the PRS series over here. And so during that time there's a bunch of us who sort of shot on a private property and sort of developed our skills and got to know stuff and got to try stuff that was ludicrous now. You're like, I mean, not unsafe, but just like impractical, just kind of fun. That sounds like a great idea. We had one stage which was pretty notorious where you had a target that you would put on a star picket, and you would we had star picket at 100, 200, 300, 400 and 500 metres. And I think you had about 4.5 minutes. And you would, make your gun safe, and then you would leg it down range with the target, about 9 kilo target, and you would go to whichever target distance you chose to. But you then had to get back from that target distance and then get behind your gun, and for every 100 metres you put your target further out. So at 1, you had 1 shot, and at 400 metres you had 4 shots. Or whatever the details were, but the idea was that the further you ran, took more time, you'd be more stuffed, but you had more opportunity to score. Okay. Amazing idea, was fun on the day. We'd never do it again.
4.5 minutes. Like a
running in sand.
K-round trip.
Running in sand as well.
Yeah.
It was interesting. Anyway, so we were doing all of this sort of stuff, and then some laws changed in SA around commercial ranges, and this got deemed as commercial enterprise, and so we couldn't continue doing that. And then the PRS was starting to kick off here, and then we got invited to start the Monado Club. Mm-hmm. And so that's where the Monado Club was born out of, and put a few of those guys together at the end of 2017, and then sort of PRS sort of kicked off and sort of took over that whole sort of training and that sort of year. And there was enough guys at that point running training courses around the country. I thought, well, these guys have better qualifications than I do for running training, so they can do that. And we had other projects which we were working on. And so we let them run the training, and we sort of delved into the competition world from there. I think that answers the question, how we got started in PRS stuff.
What do you mean, just quickly, it was deemed commercial?
There was money exchanging. It's contentious as to whether or not that's the way, but that's what it got deemed as.
If you didn't take money and there was 50 people shooting there, it's fine.
Yeah, correct.
That's
so there's a commercial transaction, and realistically to run a competition like that, there's got to be some sort of commercial transaction. I mean, you could start getting really technical and snarky and stuff like that and go, well, you bring all the snags and you bring all this and you bring all that. And
sounds like a hunting trip, mate.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it would just start blurring the lines, and I wanted to go down and start running PRS and do all that sort of stuff down legit. And so we went, you know what, we won't start pushing too hard. We're going to go and do it how we're meant to do it, and so far that's gone well.
Just a question, talking about ranges, did you ever hear about the ton kilo range? And what happened with that?
There was various challenges with the property, and so the property, and I don't know the details. I'm not close enough to it to know with property owner, or there was a challenge there with wind farms and stuff like that. There's guys around who know exactly the reasons why. I won't pretend to know, but I know there was challenges with the property, and therefore they weren't. And so there was a SSAA initiative, and they have since bought property elsewhere, and so they dropped that as a project and are now building a much bigger range elsewhere. So looking forward to that opening.
Do you have an estimate of when that'll be?
I have no idea.
No idea? Do you know where it'll be?
Near Murray Bridge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be nicer if it was closer.
In South Australia.
Oh, shit, Sherlock.
It would be, but you can't get that size property to be able to shoot, you know, like 1,000 metre plus on close to Adelaide. It's either untenable price wise, you know, try and buy a massive property in the Adelaide Hills that's big enough to cater for the fallout zone for a 1,000 metre range. You can't achieve it easily.
Yeah.
Is there anything up and coming and new in the PRS that sort of you're looking forward to, or anything that's happening?
First match in Tassie in 2 weeks.
Oh, nice.
2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is. End of September. And so that's the first time we've gone to Tassie. First overseas match, we could say. First match in Tassie. We had the first match in Sydney this year as well, which was good. And then, it's sort of the tail end of the season at the moment. So, we will. I'm off to Sydney next week to start talking about next year. So we'll see what adventures hold for that. Just finished, not PRS directly related, but the International Precision Rifle Federation, if I've got that correctly, ran the first international match that wasn't connected to like one of the brands, because there's brands that run, like PRS is a brand, and so this is more of the association sort of level. Ran their first match in France earlier this year, and we had a few guys over there, and that went really well. So
Nice.
I believe the trophy was delivered by a tank. And then a couple of guys in a ghillie suit, so that was kind of unique.
Very nice.
But I didn't get over for it, unfortunately. We moved into this place, there's a new place we're in, and that killed all the time and all the finances to be able to actually go over for a trip to France. So, next time maybe.
Yep. Is it easy to shoot in France?
I mean, it's higher elevation, so a little bit more challenging, but it's
I mean, like laws wise.
It is actually one of the countries in Europe that's probably easier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't bad. It was on a military base as well, and the guys had no problems getting guns in and out of. You had paperwork and all that sort of gear, but it's not a challenge to do so. They were suggested, though, to fly into France and fly out of France. Don't fly into, like, Germany and then try and cross the border. As soon as you start crossing European borders, things start getting challenging.
Rusty, you just touched on the building we're in now, and a lot of people might not know that you've actually moved into a relatively new facility here. What made you change? Did you just outgrow the old area? What's the deal there?
We did. So talking about scoped out Projectile Warehouse are the two main things that we actually do from a day-to-day point to live. And we've moved 3 times in the last 2 years. Just over 2 years. We moved from my house to a storage units and went from storage units because we outgrew that, and we also didn't like walking 200 metres to the toilet. And we also had no public front. We had no sort of interaction with customers at that point. It was an online store, really. And then we moved to a little warehouse, which we thought was massive, 170 square metres. There was 3 of us at the time. And it was good fun. And we moved into this place and thought, this place is going to be huge. But I had this I remember walking in there on the first day and went, I've got a concern. We might outgrow this place quicker than 3-year contract that we've signed. Oh, we'll see how it works. Probably not. So a year later, we moved again, and it was a matter of we probably hadn't quite outgrown it, but we were on the path to, and an opportunity came up here. Now, this place that we're in is now 800 square metres, which is much bigger than we need. In all honesty, it's bigger than we need. But if we go on we're obviously not going to match the growth rate we've had the last couple of years. That's not the intention. But I was sick of moving. So having moved 3 times in 2 years, we could have gone to somewhere that's probably a sensible option to go to 400 or 500 square metres. Yep. And then, another few years, if things go well and build, we then move out again. But That did not seem attractive to me, and we spent so much time. Like the last place, you move into your own. It's sort of like moving into your own home. You move into your building, and you're like, oh, we're going to make this place ours, and like really, we had all this stuff on the wall, and we had all these sound panels like screwed into the roof. We had like one room, there was about 18 sound panels in the roof, and we had done all this work to the place. And Josh is the main media guy here. He's in the other room. He and I were there hours and hours and hours just getting everything right and painting things and doing all this sort of gear. And pretty much we finished and then we moved. We got it to the point where we wanted to, and like it was just a gut punch, like in a good way. I was not unhappy about it, but you get in here and you're like, all right, no one screw anything into the wall because no one do anything. All right, we're not touching a thing. And so we moved in here in the hope that we would be here for a long time, and we didn't have to move. And we've got, you guys went for a look around today. There's a lot of empty space at the moment, which is intentional. We're trying to not just fill every area that we can. We're trying to sort of be conservative with space. So when we do grow or when we do start some other stupid idea, which is more likely, and we actually have room for that to go to. And so, we will see how that goes. But we learned from our last place. So we got sound panels above us. They all clipped in with these special clips we bought to go into suspended roofs, so we could take all these sound panels out in about 10 minutes, and there would be no sign of them again. So we've learnt.
That's smart. Sounds like you future-proofed yourself, which is like smart, mate, for sure.
We'll see how we go though. we might be broken a week.
With the move into here, you were saying that it was kind of a big move for you, the size you were. How daunting was that?
Massive.
Yeah.
I mean, we literally the price of this place is 6 times the price of the other place. But we moved out of there. We had 6 of us when we moved out of there. We've got 10 of us here now. We've been here 6 weeks. It's the potential where we're going, and it's not just Projectile and Scoped Out. There's another company that runs out of here, and PRS gets run out of here as well. So there's some other stuff going on, and we've got lots of ideas and plans. But it was massively daunting. I bought a forklift. I never thought I'd buy a forklift in my life. But week 1 we bought a forklift, and so it's been quite an interesting experience to come into such a huge place. But when you guys sort of messaged me, I'm like, oh well, give us a bit of time. You guys can come here because I'm happy to come to you and hang out and wherever you record. But we know we're going to have some good facilities here, and maybe, I don't know, the episode might sound better or worse. Who knows? But we also know that we want, I guess one of my things, and we wanted it, and we put on a video in the last place, is that, the community has been amazing to us to allow our business to grow to the point where we were able to move into that warehouse we used to be in. We had an upstairs area, which was our studio that we had planned to, and we had planned to run information nights because we want to be sort of a hub of where people can get info and learn and do that sort of thing. And so that was our goal there. And then we started advertising the first info night before even signing the contract at the place, which may not have been the smartest idea, but we did. We had Steve Hurt from Outer Edge Projectiles coming over to Adelaide. It lined up to be about the week we thought we were going to get in. We booked him for a Q&A night out at Ignition Custom out north of Adelaide, and then we sort of booked him to come down south somewhere, and we were going to go to a pub, which was not a bad idea either, but we were going to go to a pub. And then you got to the point where we were about to sign everything for this place, for the other place we were in, and we're like, you know what, we'll just put the address on there and we'll put a sign up and go down the pub down the road if things go sideways. And so, but anyway, we're always ambitious. And so we did. And so we ran our first info night, and then we didn't run another one. We just start chewing up the room in the place. And so one of the goals here is that we've got more room. So the room we're in now, the intention is to run, in a month's time, maybe we'll run a long range info night. And so if you go, kind of interested in getting, work out how to use a ballistics app or this or that, come along. We'll go through all of that, what we can do in the room, and show you a bit about the guns and how to set them up or something. And then, maybe 3 weeks after that, we'll run a thermal night. And we'll show off all these thermals, and you can play with them, get hands-on with them, and learn about how thermals actually work and where they're good and where they're terrible and all that sort of gear. Yeah. And then maybe 3 weeks after that, we'll run some information on trimming and different processes of trimming brass and all that sort of gear. So the idea is to be able to put that knowledge back into the community through the facilities that have been kind enough to bestow upon us. And then we also are very fortunate we've got the ability to live stream or, do sort of the media side of things. So this room here will be set up in that if we do an info night here, the guys are in Adelaide can come along and get hands-on with stuff. But then, so there might be 10, 15 people in the room, and then we can live stream it, and the 50 people that are elsewhere can watch it as well and get the information as well. So
That's smart.
we want to be able to use this place to actually build people's knowledge. I still like that still passion that started the training the training school, I guess, and those sort of things is still there for me to be able to impart that knowledge across. And while I certainly don't have all the knowledge and I don't shoot as much as I used to, and I wish I did, but I know a lot of guys who do have that knowledge and shoot a lot more regularly. Probably all you guys in the room, but I've got that, and so maybe it's a night with you lads, and you guys come and share some stories and some info and some hunting techniques and bits and pieces. People come and get to know you. It goes out on our stream, so perhaps more, and then vice versa. You know, we cross audiences and we can deliver more value to people without them having to pay anything for it. They just roll up.
That's great.
That's what we want to use this place for.
Outstanding. That's the sort of field of dreams, build it and they will come sort of mentality. Really,
Exactly.
That's cool, man. That's really awesome. And we are definitely, big supporters of growing that community and just being able to share the knowledge, because it's a shame when people don't want to impart that onto someone else and grow the community. It really is a shame. So I'm stoked that that's what you're all about, man.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, it's always been the goal. Yeah,
Beautiful, cool.
absolutely.
Bloody perfect room for it too.
It is. This is the big buck hunter in the corner as well.
Yeah.
Just keep us all going.
Have a game of that later.
I do like your little Nerf course you got out in the warehouse. Sorry, warehouse. Warehouse. Yeah, that's interesting. What made you use the drum snares as targets?
Cymbals, they're called, Josh.
Sorry,
Drum snares.
Sorry.
It's about as musical as Josh gets.
that's about it.
Well, Josh will get a bit more musical later when we put a Nerf gun in his hand. He shoots a cymbal, and he hears why we chose, because a cymbal makes a good noise. You get a confirmation of hit. And a Nerf dart doesn't have a lot of power, but when you hit a cymbal with it gives enough of a ring. You feel, if you've ever been long range shooting, even just shooting on steel, you shoot and you hear that ding or that, and then when you're hunting, you hear that thud, depending on the game and the distance and stuff. And it's a really like rewarding sound to like go bang, thud, or bang, ding, and you're like, yeah. Same here now. You can go click with the Nerf gun, click, ding, or crash, or whatever noise the cymbal makes, and so we that was the idea behind it. Plus, we're not very good shooters with Nerf guns; they're pretty inaccurate, so we went big cymbals.
I think you need a better scope on it on your Nerf gun. I think that might help.
Probably would help. Yeah, that's right. What scope do you recommend that's on your Nerf gun? Build out of your experience.
I'm a Night Force man.
So you got Night Force on your Nerf gun.
Yeah, I don't have.
I'm going to call you on this.
Yeah, I would if I could, but probably, yeah.
Josh usually sells his rifles before he actually gets the scope on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Works his way through it.
Builds a rifle and is like, I want something else.
Yeah.
Off it goes.
He goes.
You do have that Swarovski on a
Done
shelf.
that one. I do actually. I have a nice little Z5 on the shelf, and I've never used it.
That's a perfect Nerf gun.
I bought it and immediately regretted it, and we're now bought an X8.
Nothing wrong with an X8.
Yeah,
Josh is referencing the fact that one of the Nerf guns here has a Vortex razor on it. That is the joke.
Thank you for bringing some context.
Sorry. Yeah. Should have led with that. Yeah. That's all right. It's been a long day.
We'll have to get a photo of it after.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, Rusty, we'll do a 180 with you here. This next question. What's your favourite movie?
I wouldn't have a clue.
Is that a movie, is it?
It's not enough time.
Here we go. No movies. I came out of high school, all keen on making videos, all right, all keen. I went to film school.
Oh, wow.
For 3 months, and they ruined movies for me. And, basically barely watch movies.
Wow.
So
how did they ruin it for you?
You start analysing everything. You watch a film and everything gets analysed, every element of the film, from the story to the lighting to the editing to this, and you're just like, it's just I used to watch movies all the time, to nothing at all. And so now, like for me to go to the cinema might happen every 5-10 years.
Yeah,
5 years maybe.
It's kind of same as like being a shooter and then seeing movies with guns in it, and you're like, it's not how it works.
So, having said that, there are a couple. I guess Inglourious Basterds is a great movie, and so I'm not completely put off movies. There's some good ones out there, but it takes a lot for me to. I've never watched a Marvel movie. People really.
You're not missing out, man.
Okay.
I fall asleep in every single one.
Yeah, right. Maybe I should try that. that could actually help.
Yeah, if you want a predictable storyline, you'll just fall asleep.
Yeah, okay.
For sure.
Yeah. So I like some obscure movies. 12 Monkeys was a good one from back in the day.
Oh.
Yeah, some oddball stuff.
Yeah,
so
okay.
yeah. Anyway, that's movies is not a big point. Most people are like, have you seen it? Just assume the answer is no. And just give me some context and tell me how good it was, and I'll smile and nod and go, cool, man.
You probably don't have any time for it either. I mean, you're building an empire here.
Empire Records is a great movie, speaking of which, Empire Records.
It is.
Look, we do work hard, but you do have to have downtime, and just finding what that downtime is. And we alluded to it before with Formula One, for example. I watch Formula One, and I don't just watch the race. A little bit of a tragic. I watch the first practice session and the second practice session, the third practice session, and the qualifying and the race. But that is about all I do outside. So it's the one thing really, and a number of the guys here are into it as well. So we all, message each other and discuss it and do all that sort of thing as well. You get to work on Monday and you're like, how boring was last night? Yeah, like you talk about it as well. So there's an element of that, having friends who are into it as well. And there's a few of us in the PRS community who chat about it on a pretty regular basis and send memes around and stuff like that. So it's nice to have that little outlet away from work, because for a lot of people, we talked about it before, the shooting side of things is the hobby. And so that is for everyone else that we deal with, that's their outside of things. And they send memes around and they chat about their hunt on Monday. For us, or for me particularly, that the shooting is so much a part of like I'm away at least once a month with some sort of competition or something along those lines. And I enjoy it. It's great. Love it. But it's work. And, they're big days and long hours and that sort of thing. And, sometimes it's nice to just have that. It's important, I think, actually, to have that break. And for some people, that's Marvel movies for some reason. And for other people, it's other movies. For some people, it's whatever it might be. And for many people that we deal with, it's shooting, which is awesome. But you have to enable that to work. And so, that's where it is. So, we have enjoyed F1 as a nice release. So, but I'll happily take on Tragic as a title, because I do watch way too much of it.
Not very good.
What about your basketball cards? Is that another little side?
That was more of a nostalgia kick.
Mm-hmm.
Cards, I haven't done that for quite a while. I've got a pack sitting downstairs, and also we made some good money out of that, to be fair. The collecting, sports cards for 2020 when COVID kicked in, you guys may remember on Netflix, The Last Dance came out.
Definitely watched it.
We probably, many of us remember the Bulls and the golden era of Michael Jordan and that sort of thing. And that came out, and that boosted this massive, and that was not rumored, that was scheduled to come out for quite a long time. And the hype around sports cards built a lot. And so, sort of got interested in it. I grew up, I remember year 5, I would have been about 10 in year 5, and Shaq's rookie card. I remember getting Shaq's rookie card, right, back then. And so that was a 93 card, 94 card, or maybe 95, but whatever it was. It was around that era, and I remember getting one of them. It was pretty trashed. It wasn't in good condition, but I remember getting one. And so I was really into basketball cards when you're that young. And so when that Last Dance thing's coming around, you sort of, you get it. And so I bought a bunch of packs and opened a bunch, made some TikToks and videos and stuff around it. But also I was buying them from the US and then selling them. And, you might buy a full pack of them right at the beginning of it, and you're buying them for like $80 or $90. Yeah. And then you just put them up on auctions on eBay, 6 months later, 9 months later, and they're going for like $250, $300. You're like, this is great. But I didn't, it was fun. And I bought enough to pay for the ones that I opened, if that makes sense. Like, it was not we maybe made a few $100s out of it on top of that. But, and then you had this real kick of nostalgia, which was great fun, made for some fun videos. And then, we've moved on. Everyone's moved on from it. So be it. But I've still got some downstairs, and, all the 45 Jordans I've got stashed away and covered. One day they'll be, amazing. So
Yeah, nice. Okay, there you go.
44 Jordans. Yeah, hold on to them for another 30 years.
Yeah, wait till he passes on, and
Then take a trip to Vegas.
all
to
my
the pawn
Queen
shop.
collector cards have all been really good. So no, I'll keep the Jordan ones.
Nice. Very good. All right, next question. Recommend someone to be on this podcast.
I think you should have Luke from the Bearded Chap on this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Bearded Chap was we have the same accountant, which is a really boring way to meet, but our accountant's pretty rad. The tangents, I told you to be tangents. When COVID kicked off, we had to cancel the PRS season, right? And so to do what we could to continue that community discussing and talking and stuff like that, for 8 weeks straight, we ran a 1 hour show every night, live show. All of us are just sitting at home doing whatever we're doing. I was flat out because I was putting new websites up and doing sort of things like that. Every night for an hour a night, we would run a show. We'd interview someone, or it'd be a couple of us would just bantering along, or whatever it was. And it was designed to sort of, build the community, put some information out there. It's the same sort of thing. And my accountant came on that night and he told everyone to buy ammo because he thought it was a brilliant investment.
Not wrong. Not wrong at all.
To be fair, he's like, well, you can spend all your money on food, you can spend all your money on shelter, but with ammo, you can use that to barter, or if it goes real pear shape, you can get all those things.
That's the logic.
You're a good accountant. Yeah, smart. Anyway, so when you've got an accountant like that, you can connect with some very interesting people. And he said, you should speak to this guy, Luke. He's one of our guys. He makes beard oil.
Very good.
Right. So you think of all the things that people should spend their money on during COVID. You're not going out, you're not leaving the house. Beard oil is probably not one of them. Right? Fair enough. It's probably a business that would just not do very well. With the exception that Luke is in control of that business. And Luke, over the Easter weekend, rather than eating heaps of chocolate, he might have eaten heaps of chocolate, decided that he would, rather than focusing on beard oil for the next little period of time, he would reimagine his bottling business around hand sanitizer.
Yep.
And in 4 days, came up with recipes, worked on it, did all this sort of with his chemist, and started producing that, won the contracts for like Queensland government and started employing people. And started putting people on. This is in the first weeks of COVID, where everyone was losing their job or everyone was about to lose their job, and he was putting people on. Yep. And he, amazing story. And he, so we got him on the podcast. I didn't know anything more apart from the fact it was a good, successful Australian business story. I thought do you know what, for the audience, that's a good, real win.
Yep.
Yeah.
He messaged me the day of the episode. He's like, hey, man, we're on tonight, looking forward to it. Should we just chat to make sure, see what we want to go through? I'm like, yeah, cool. So gave him a call. Said, Luke, sweet. Oh, well, you probably don't know much about us, but we come under the Impact Dynamics brand. We do this and this and this. He's like, oh, that's even better. I'm a shooter as well. And we're like, oh, well, this is fantastic. He's like, I spent my college years in the US and I've done this and I do this and I own this gun and I'm thinking about buying this and this. And I'm like, oh, that's all pretty rad. That's all. All right, sweet. So I was happy to have him on the show anyway because he had an interesting story and a positive story. He came on and we had a brilliant chat about it. And then we used to do on the particular night he was on, which I think was a Wednesday, we would have an after show hangout. So anyone who wanted to could come into the Zoom call at the end of the show and just chat and just talk rubbish and that sort of thing. And he stayed. He's like, I'm staying around for this. You guys are great.
Nice one.
And we have since then had a good friendship and business. I guess we're both business owners and we're learning. I learned a lot from him, and now I've kicked him up the arse from a social media point. So he to rag on Luke a little bit. He had a videographer on board when they changed their business around. So they captured all that whole sort of business decision and the yelling and the all the exciting thing. He's a passionate dude and he can rant really well, which is why I'm suggesting him for your podcast.
Nice.
Like really, really well. And so I'm like, videographer, that sounds good. Like I was doing a lot of video production for our marketing, my marketing back then. And it was just me. And I'm like, I could get someone to pack orders or I could get someone to do the video work because I'm doing that for 8 hours a day anyway. So if I do that, I can pack the orders and then I can see, this, someone's bought a set of dies but no shell holder, or someone's bought this and this, and those two things don't. Whereas if I hire someone to pack orders and they've got they don't know a lot about shooting, they're not going to have that knowledge. So that I'll stay on that sort of packing order side of things for now. get someone else to make the video. So Josh, who you met tonight, came on board a day a week, and we now have 3 videographers here, basically, to sum it up. I went up to the US. Wow, we jumped all the way there. I went up to Queensland to go hang out with Luke for an afternoon, and I went in there, and he's like, "I'm really angry with you." I'm like, "Oh, okay. What have I done now?" He's like, "I was the one that inspired you to hire a videographer, and now we make no content." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. You don't do anything." and he's like, so what do we need to change? And so we went down the path of, okay, well, have you got your phone with you? Yes, I do. Well, he's like, I'm really just stuck for ideas. I'm like, awesome, man, grab your phone. Let's go downstairs. We went downstairs. We filmed 3 little shots, put them together, put some music over, and there's your TikTok. And that was his biggest TikTok he'd had for 2 years or something along those lines. It was ridiculous. It was stupid, but that's TikTok. And we started talking about ideas and stuff. And since that time up there, those guys, his videographer, Ryan, was a real young guy, real nervous, real sort of wouldn't get on camera, was pretty shy. And I called him over. I said, "Ryan, come over here." And I said, "So anytime you need to, you walk up to Luke and you just film him. You're like, here's a question. I've got a question for you." I said, "Choose your moments, but outside of that, you just walk up to him anytime and you have my permission somehow to just go and start asking him questions." And I said to Ryan, if Luke gives you a hard time, you ring me, I'll ring Luke, and I'll give him a hard time to stop giving you a hard time. I'll have your back. And I had no permission to do this from Luke, and Luke sat there and went, "Yeah, that's right. Yeah, do that. Do that." And to be honest, ever since that, they have done extremely, extremely well. And they were on a chat the other night. So outside of what we do here and the gun related sort of stuff, we run a company called Captivating Attention, which is around social media, around marketing, around producing content and that sort of thing. So we talk about having 3 videographers. That's when they were all working for the shooting company, for the company that owns the Projectile Warehouse and scoped out stuff. But we've now sort of taken that out, and we do that sort of consulting. And so we had a sort of every second Friday we have a social hangout for business owners and people working towards YouTube channels and stuff like that. And you guys should come and join us one time.
100%.
Yeah.
So it's real low key hangout. You have to have a drink of some sort, and it's just for about half an hour, 45 minutes on a Friday. And Luke was there and ranted, killer rant. And anyway, so you need to summarize all of those stories, you should grab him on the podcast, because he will have a brilliant rant. 2, he will tell you about his time in the US and shooting guns, and he's just a rad dude.
Sweet. Yeah. Sounds like
and passionate, really passionate.
That's what we like.
I want to know how you've just added another thing onto your portfolio that you do. I'm like, how the fuck?
Yeah, you got a lot going on.
We don't have time to watch movies, mate. We don't have time to watch movies.
Yeah, I'm giving up TV. I'm burning the thing tomorrow. Jesus.
There's lots to do.
Yeah, it sounds it.
Man.
All right, Rusty.
Right, here we go. Is this last question time?
Last question.
Right. Surely there's a sound effect for a drum roll
Ready?
or something like that.
Oh, if you want one.
There it is.
You can have one.
Yeah.
Which is not working. There you go.
Josh could have used that effect to punctuate a few of his jokes tonight. Some of the
Too
ones we
far
missed.
away. His arms are too short.
Okay.
What was your first rifle? That's
My first rifle was a shotgun. Does that count? Can we?
Sure.
first firearm.
Okay, I bought 3 guns in one day, my first guns. And so I'd like to claim that the first one I actually bought was a Beretta Silver Pigeon S, which was I had gone out for we used to do New Year's Eves up at Waikery. So Riverland, so about 2.5 hours northeast of Adelaide, up on the river. And we would literally be sort of camping metres from the river. And one of the guys we go up there with, we'd be there for 4 or 5 nights. And one of the nights was, don't drink this afternoon and that evening because we're going to go clay shooting. Right, so we go into the paddock and I remember getting a gun. The guy gave me a gun and we were under spotlight, so under a big floodlight because the guy's property it was an electrician. So massive big light and he had white clays and they would glow. It was awesome. And the gun I had was a Silver Pigeon S. And so I'm like, all right, well, I need to get one of these. This is incredible. So I ended up working at the gun shop and so I sort of built up enough money to buy that it was my first gun. And I think I had birthday money and Christmas money and all those sort of things you do when you're a bit younger. And then I bought that, but also on the same day I put the paperwork in on an air rifle, a Gammo air rifle 177, which I still have the shotgun as well, and a Marlin 3030 336.
That's where it's at.
With it was the laminated one in stainless with like the greeny type colour timber. It was my wife called it the ghost gun, the traditional one. So they were my first 3 guns, and I think the one with the lowest registration number was actually the 3030, which I was a bit disappointed by because I wanted the Beretta to be the original. But I don't have the 3030 anymore. I didn't use it, and I generally, if I'm not using a gun, I generally move it on. Yep. I'm not, I sort of said before, I'm not big on possessions or sentimental value to stuff, so I sort of move guns on pretty quickly and just keep the ones I'm using as much as I can. And so, or I have a real purpose for it. I might not have used it for a year or so because I haven't had the opportunity, but if someone rings up and is like, hey, we're going pig shooting in a month, you coming? I'm like, well, I've got the gun for it. Like I've got to get set up and that'll achieve a few things. So, and so that was my first one. I had the benefit of having my dad had guns, and so for a number of years I had a license, but I didn't buy guns because I could just borrow his. Yep. And so he had a 22, a Bakel 22, a CBC, a Brazilian shotgun, side by side. That's what I learnt with no recoil pad. And that's what you get used to. And then some stupid 22 Horner that was bollocks. That was, we had someone make reloads for, and 1 in 3 worked.
Wow. Oh dear.
Yeah, good fun.
Well, that kind of touches back on something you said earlier about people, buying their first gun and getting a 300 Win Mag or something. Yeah. Whereas you've just talked about all these guns you used before you got your own. Yeah. And that's definitely something we recommend, is having mates you can borrow, because I didn't buy my first rifle for years. Yes. And I'd used all Josh's and all these old mans.
I think we all did.
So,
I even used Josh's back then.
So, you can try all these things and then sort of develop your own sort of taste about what you want to buy. Absolutely. Ultimately. So, yeah, nice one.
Yeah, no, it's good.
So did you go hunting with your old man, or?
I did. Yep. Yeah, I did. From a hunting perspective, the thing that got me back into guns. So I shot when I was 5 or 6. And I remember we never lived on a farm or anything like that, but we would from time to time go out to friends' houses, and I was always keen. And Dad always enjoyed shooting, so any opportunity we got to go out to a farm, we would take us out and we'd go and shoot rabbits or whatever it might be. So it started very young, but very inconsistent. We'd shoot once a year, maybe twice a year. Yeah, the opportunity and I loved it. It was great, and just you get busy with life and girls and other music. Music was a big one for me. I was never good at music, but I went to lots of shows. And then I went to the UK when I was 21. And I was travelling with my parents because they paid for it. So that seems like a really sensible thing to do.
It is.
They're like, we'll pay for you to go over. I'm like, I guess I better stay with you guys. But I had planned, so we stayed, we travelled around a little bit and saw family, that's where the family are from, and we stayed in a place called, or in Norfolk. I don't know if you know where Norfolk is, but if you look at the UK, it's sort of like this straight bit with this bit that juts out to the right. Yep. It's the top there, so the northern beach is there. And we were right pretty much on the coast, looking over the North Sea. Yeah. And I remember, we went there, I was meant to be there for like 2 nights, and then I was going down to London. Yeah, because that's what you do when you're 21, you go to London. And we were in this farming house, and we were having dinner, and then the farmer's like, oh, grab the guns. And they were, of course, just against the wall. So he grabbed them out, opened the window up from the kitchen over the sink, put the gun out, shot 2 rabbits. And he's like, we'll pick them up later, and went back to dinner. Wow. And I'm like, that's kind of cool. Yeah. And then, so I hadn't shot a shotgun in my life at this stage. And so we then would go out, and we went for a little walk around this property. He had this block. I'm sure it's been long enough. We had this block next door to his house block, and this is called set aside. Set aside was, I think you were paid by the government not to farm on one particular sort of paddock, let's call it. One particular paddock that, and then you would move that paddock around, so everywhere would sort of the nutrients would develop, I guess. I'm not don't know a lot about farming. So the idea was that every year you would shift what paddock was your set aside paddock, so you would sort of rotate your paddocks around. Well, he didn't, and he had this one dedicated that was just full of rabbits and just hadn't been, there was ruins all through it, and it just hadn't been looked after. And so we went there, and I shot shotguns and did the shoot the rabbit and it starts spinning in the air and flicking it through. And I loved it. We'd just sit out there for hours waiting for birds to come over or whatever it was. And so I canned the trip to London and just stayed there for a week and thoroughly enjoyed it and shot every day and would take air rifles out and just go out into some paddock and just sit there and wait for birds and really enjoyed it. And so I came back from that when I was 21, and that's really where it's been active in the shooting world ever since that. And so I came back and found a property we could go to and started just going out there with got my license and took Dad's guns out there, and it was sort of ever since then got into it from there. What was the question? I don't remember.
I just asked if you went hunting with your old man, but that was...
There we go. Yes, I did.
That was a perfect answer and was going to sort of answer the rest of what my question was going anyway, about how you got into hunting anyway. So,
do you hunt much these days?
I don't.
Like with the business and things?
No. We hunted a lot. So for a number of years I worked for Night Force, and when I was there, it was very much a 9-to-5 job. And I was not used to that. I'd always sort of, worked a lot more than that. And so when I was there, a mate of mine was a scope tech there as well. And so we pretty much Friday afternoon, we'd leave from work and we would go on. And I worked out, we did 28 hunting trips one year. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where you want to be.
Basically every 2 weeks.
No kids. And so I was married, but I would just just go off with Dutchie and go and shoot. And we'd come back, we'd take a week and do this. And it was all the time. So I got a lot of time in, which was good. We'd tally sort of what we'd caught, and we'd shot caught. Didn't catch anything. Well, I guess we caught it. Yeah, it didn't go anywhere. We would into the hundreds and hundreds of foxes in a year, and we all sorts of sort of game, and it was fantastic. And we started getting calls to go and shoot these wild sheep that were in some property that were meant to be there, and we getting to that level. We're just doing it so much, and then we would do regular sort of hunting trips when the business grew. And then the competition side of things sort of started upping a lot, and the travel started upping, and then kids come along, and so your ability to go away became more challenging. Yep. To be able to drive an hour to go up to a range and have like everything sort of there and just be able to grab the gun out, shoot, and then bail out to go and do something else, it's probably more of a convenience element. Yep. And so the hunt, if I thought really hard, I'm sure I could work out what my last hunting trip was, but it's been I do remember it. It was spotlighting. So if that counts as hunting, does that still count as hunting?
Yeah, of course it does.
Okay. So just be clear on it. It's spotlighting. Right? So some people argue that's hunting or not, but that's the last time I shot game. Yep. And I remember it that we'd been pretty deep into the PRS side of things at this point. And I had a guy that was a co-trainer with me back when we were running long range courses, and the dude was a machine. And he was so quick. He spent like 4 nights a week spotlighting, right? Because he worked for a sheep farmer. And so he had access to property, unbelievable access to property. And so literally he'd go to work, and then on the way home from work, he would go spotlighting or tuning into spotlighting for hours on the way home. And literally that was just his drive home. And so he was unbelievably quick with getting a gun into position. And so I remember I went out one night. This is a property owner of the place we used to train. And he had his mate who was a farmer in the front seat, and I was on the back with a comp gun. I was just the only gun I had at the time. So, all right, we'll have a crack. And we went out, and I think I saw a fox. I'm like, I'm used to racing this guy called Dan. So I'm like, oh, fox, bang. Yep, got it. I'm like, I did three times like that. And I'm like, oh crap, the other bloke hasn't even got a gun out of the window yet. And I was not trying to show off or anything. Just this was natural. I was used to racing against guys who were super quick and super accurate. So my skills are pretty refined at that stage. And we were training people, so we're doing this stuff all the time. And so I said to him, oh, I'm really sorry, man. I'm so used to I'll try and give you a little bit more time, and then I'll only shoot if the thing's about to dart off. Okay, no worries. So I shot another 4 in a row because I'm sitting there like on its head. I'm like, it's just you, and then you see that little glint in its eyes. It's about to, like, what's going on? Yeah. I'm like, I better bang, drop this thing, and I said, I think his name was Joe. I said, Joe, I'm sorry. I just I'm seeing it's going, and anyway, I said, all right, you're going to get the next shot off. No matter what, I'll let it go. I won't touch it.
Just put the gun down.
But I said, if you miss, I've got you covered, right? I've got you covered. So you can imagine what happened next. I'm on the thing between the eyes, staring at it, and I'm losing like a Carles 620, amazing glass, and you see everything. Poor bloke's got like a Nico Sterling 2-9 or something like that. Just and so he's grabbed the gun out. He's on there. And he's pulled the trigger, and I don't know where it went, but it wasn't near the fox. And so the second I've seen it not hit, I've pulled the trigger and the thing's dropped down. And so I'm just going to stop feeling bad. I'm just going to be like, I've practiced and worked really hard to be able to shoot this quickly on this sort of stuff. I'm just going to embrace. So I just got really arrogant and just shot the rest of them. And I continuously apologise to the guy. I'm like, dude, it's not you. It's just the guys that I normally shoot with. They're just so ridiculous and stupid quick. I would struggle to keep up with them. And that was probably the last time I actually gone out and shot any sort of live game, which would have been a few years ago now.
Yeah, wow.
It's just been
just flat out.
What's the one to remember on a hunt? Like your favourite hunt you've had?
Favourite hunt? There was on the same property that we got lost on. There was always a good time up there. Oh no, I've got the most fun story, and then so we went on this property, and that same property, and we were by a dam, and we just we were playing with a lot of sort of convincing foxes and just toying with the game to try and convince them to come in. And so I remember we sort of set out a little we'd shot a goat or something, and we grabbed the guts out and we put them out in a particular area, and then sort of went back to the dam, and we're just hanging by the dam and sort of waiting for some pigs to roll up or anything on those lines. And I remember just putting the gun on a tree, looking through, and just seeing this fox sort of walk along a road behind where we'd put this sort of the guts of this goat. And I went, I reckon this one's gonna get a whiff of that. The wind was right, and I'm like, watching it along, and it's just like popped its head over and went, oh yeah, there's something's going on. And it's sort of made its sort of beeline around. It's sort of gone into sort of one scrub and then gone to another bush, and then come around and came in on this thing and like looked at it, and as soon as it looked at it, bang, dropped this thing. And it was it doesn't sound that exciting a story, but for me this was sort of the first time I'd really been able to have that major interaction with a fox, to be able to sort of watch it back and forth. And like I set that up, and you've sort of played into my hands really well, and we've in some ways you could say that's back to spotlighting, because we're just smacking foxes, but a lot more sort of hunting, like setting something up for it to come into and playing back and forth with that. That was good. And then that same trip, we'd been out all night, not the night we got lost, the night before, and we came back. We didn't see much, and we came back to the house, and as we came up to the house, there's two guys in the back, and they were asleep. They just passed out in there, and I'm in the front seat, and we've come back to the house, and this house has got a big long veranda, so shearer's quarters, you guys be familiar with you got sort of various rooms along it. And this fox has jumped out of the room, there's the kitchen, ran down the porch, and as it run down, I've grabbed the 308, jumped out of the front seat and stood up. And I've just yelled, "You bastard!" And the guys in the back have woken up to me screaming, "You bastard!" at the top of my lungs at 4 a.m. And this fox has stopped, and it was in between. So if you imagine, we're looking at the house, and then it's run down the veranda, and there's a veranda post to the left, and the building to the right, and it's just in this gap, right in the middle. This fox has stopped and looked at me. I've got a bad idea. Bang! And sort of this fox with a 308 at about 12 metres away. Nice. But the most fun we ever had, and was we were working with a new guy that was at work. It's always new guy stories. And we invited him to a hunting trip. Said, "Oh, come up to the Flinders, come up with us, come hunting." And he's like, "Oh, that sounds fantastic." And so we said, "All right, great." Made all the plans, and away we went. We got up there at like 2 a.m, and we're like, there's a big drive into where we need to stay, so like 2-hour drive in. So get the guns out. Let's get ready. And what we didn't tell him is that we had bought kazoos. And we decided that, we had this long tradition that we just made up that we would always take kazoos on hunting trips. And every time you got something, you would bust the kazoo out and start playing a tune. And so we thought, it's your first hunting trip, man. With us, like, you get the first shot. So he's got a 243. He's leveled up on a goat, and he's lined up on this thing, and he's just bang, smacked it, clean. It was a great shot, excellent. We're like, let's go check it out. Pulled up, wandered over there, and he's got, we checked it out. Yeah, it's all dead. It's all looking good. Cutting stuff off of it, and then we're like, cool, excellent. Well, it's time. And he's like, what's up? And we both simultaneously pulled kazoos out of our pockets and just started playing whatever it was that we were kazooing. And then we both looked at him, just deadpan, just like this look of like shock, absolute shock, looked at him, and he's looking so confused. And Dutchie looks over and goes, "Where's your kazoo?" And the guy's he starts apologising. He's like, I didn't know I was meant to bring one. And he's like, how can you go hunting without a kazoo? And the guy's nearly in tears about the fact that he forgot his kazoo, and you can't go hunt. Anyway, it was a fun time. It was a fun time. He got stitched up well. So we then continued for the rest of the weekend to pull the kazoo out every time we went hunting. And
that's commitment. We've done that to a few new people we've taken out a few times, but it's more around, the tradition is your first kill, you got to eat the heart.
Oh, yeah.
All that sort of,
We've done the kangaroo balls to the Americans.
The butternut, no one's taken it up yet, though. I haven't got anyone to actually put anything in the mouth.
Well, this guy bought a kazoo, so 100% hit rate so far.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it was.
I like it.
Where do you even buy kazoos?
eBay. Yeah. I know you're the musical one of the group. But, there you go. I understand why you asked the question.
Just call me ZZ Top.
ZZ Top.
Well, is there a dream hunt and location anywhere in the world for you, Rusty?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think that New Zealand's like an amazing place, but I know that I would have to do a lot of work to get to the fitness level to be able to achieve that. Do you know what? At the moment where I'm up to, what I'd love to go and do is actually, we do a lot of media production here, and it's been like with media, I love making videos and that sort of gear, but I haven't picked up a camera for a couple of years now, realistically, and I haven't opened up Premiere to edit anything more than a couple of little tweaks for the lads to get some sort of narrative advice. I would actually love to go with a group who are hunting and take the cameras and do that. I find that as a fascinating challenge. Yeah. And so I think that would be, because for me, I don't know, I said I don't particularly watch movies, but storytelling is a big thing. And so being able to sort of capture that, I would actually take a lot more pleasure at the moment where I'm up to in life of doing that. And being part of the hunt, but in part of I guess there's an element of me that wants to sort of showcase that to people and get more people involved in that sort of thing and be able to showcase what goes on. That is very interesting to me, and to be able to sort of craft a story around what we do and what we achieve and what we fail at, and all those sort of things that would be as part of a larger group that hunt would be fascinating to me. So still need to be fit though. Camera gear is pretty heavy. I haven't achieved that one yet.
What are you doing next weekend then?
Not fit enough is what I'm doing. Eating pizza. Yeah.
No, I like that answer though, because it's not always about being the one to pull the trigger.
Well, I've been hunting enough times to know that it's not. I've done that. I've pulled the trigger enough times that it's not about that for me. Going out and doing those sort of things, and then the kazoo story, has got very little to do with hunting. But we every time we bring it up with the guys, and there's many, and you guys would have hundreds. You would probably fill podcasts with them. Is all those stories of your hunting trips, and those stories are what. And you can do that with a gun in hand. You can do that with a camera in hand. And I have filmed some hunts we've done, and I've enjoyed both as much. In fact, there's less pressure with the camera because you can't miss. You can just creatively edit afterwards. But it is much more about that experience and what the amazing places you see and places you go, and I like it more than like just a straight bushwalk, because bushwalk's good, but your only achievement is to go there and walk back, which, to be fair, that's a fairly big achievement for me at the moment. Being a fair effort. But whereas hunting, obviously, you've got this additional goal that you may or may not achieve, and you don't know how you're going to go. And there's inherently stories within that are fascinating, interesting to tell.
Yeah.
Very good.
Seems to put you in a little bit of, what's the word? Jesus. Forgetfulness.
I wouldn't want to be put in Jesus.
Not,
Just quietly.
not in, no, adversity sort of when you're out hunting as well, like bushwalking in the rain. So I'm going to turn around and get in the car and go back or go home or something like that.
You can bushwalk pretty hardcore, man.
Yeah, you can, because you've got, like you just said, you've got no.
There's not this additional goal. Like you go and you're walking through wherever you're going. It's good. It's healthy. It's great. There's nothing wrong with it at all. We have customers who buy binos to do that, which is awesome. But this hunting adds this additional sort of, guys. Blokes generally, and not exclusively blokes, but blokes generally, they don't just hang out for the sake of hanging out. You're usually doing something together. Yeah. If that makes sense. Like you're getting together to, work on someone's car, which I have no clue about, but apparently that's the thing that happens. Or you get together to go fishing, and it's not about the fishing. Some guys really into the fishing, but mostly it's there about drowning worms and drinking beers. Yeah, and so that is. Guys sort of connect over an adventure of some sort. And as I said, not exclusively guys, and I've been hunting with girls as well, and it's been excellent. And I know you guys have got Kadisha on the podcast, is that right?
Oh, yeah, we did recently.
I went hunting with her, and
beautiful.
It was a fantastic experience. I didn't even hold a gun, and it was a fantastic experience. And so there is... I don't know where it's going, but people connect around an activity, and the activity is the excuse to connect. But having that, the hunting element to it creates this sort of there's an element of drama of things can go really well for it, things can go not so well for it, and sort of it's a fascinating story. So
it's kind of why we started a podcast. This is an excuse to get together and drink and be idiots and.
I think the first 8 months was the therapy session. whilst we were getting a format down. But it was pretty
There's some
bad.
very early recordings that'll never be released.
Our podcast's gone for 6 years. We're still in therapy. It's a challenge.
Yeah. No, do you know what is good? And having a common activity, especially amongst guys, is good for exactly that, is just being able to talk out your problems in a relaxed environment. And especially these days where, we're getting better as guys and being able to open up and talk to each other, but, more so than 30 years ago. But it's important to have that connection around an activity. Yeah. And then work out your shit as well.
It's almost like you don't want to be like, hey, you want to catch up, talk feelings? No, that's
it never happens like that.
It's a word that comes into mind with that. But
is this a prank call segment where we do that? And we just see
That's a good idea. Let's ring someone. See
I know what the next episode is going to be all about.
All right. Well, you guys got any more burning questions for Rusty?
I do until you said that. Now I've got a mental blank, mate.
Did we touch on how you actually started with Scoped Out?
No, we didn't.
Yes. How did you start with that, and what sort of got you into that sort of business style of things?
I bought it.
Okay.
But there's more to the story. So I started Projectile Warehouse back many years ago. We were doing the training side of things, and I was reloading, and I got frustrated with having all these extra projectiles around. You'd buy a pack of 100, normal sort of sales pitch. You buy a pack of 100, and then you use 10 or 20. You're like, there's not a lot of life in this thing, and so you put that back in the cupboard, and you buy another pack, and you work through. And I thought, well, maybe if we drop them down to 20 packs originally, 20 packs, and you could try that out and see what they go like, and then buy 5 of them, there's your 100, and try them out, and then you're like, this one shows some promise, or these 2 are looking all right. You go, okay, great, well, let's buy 100 of each of those and try them, rather than messing with 5 or 6 that we've sort of ruled out. A few of them, we narrow that down. And I remember I was working in the gun shop at the time, and so I brought it up with the owner, because I'm like, hey, look, I don't want to be like competition or anything, but I just, this is an idea. And the owner said, well, I don't think that's going to work very well, so go for it. And okay, cool.
Thanks.
Cheers. And then 2 years later, I think I left because it was going all right. But so Projectile Warehouse was ticking along, and we were just doing sample packs because I didn't want to compete with the place I was working at. I was very mindful of that, and we started doing it. We started getting access to a few other projectiles that weren't competition with where I was working, so we were being able to sell them in full packets and reloading gear. And mate, one suburb over from me was I sort of ended up meeting and getting to know him through coming and shooting competitions and stuff, and he started Scoped Out. About the same time I started Projectile Warehouse, and it was going well for him. Yeah, good dude. And then basically the same week that I got the call that we were going to have to stop doing the training stuff, he called me and said, man, this thing's going a little bit like it's going good, but it's at the point where I either need to tone it back because it's now interfering with my life. Because he had a real job and was earning really good money at his real job. And he's like, I did this so that I could pay for some shooting gear, but it's actually going better than that. And now I either have to wind it back or move it on. So we came to sort of some agreement, and we bought and Scoped Out and sort of rebranded and put it in the mix to Projectile Warehouse. The back ends of the websites that we were running at the time were all the same. So he thought it made logical sense. I was doing nothing but trying to make some sort of eating cardboard and trying to make something in the gun industry work. And then we Scoped Out sort of kicked in from there. So ran the two and really we did gun shows for a long time. So I see my van out the front. Would pack up the van and would go off for 3 weeks at a time, say goodbye to the wife and kids, and be like, all right, I'm off to go and set up. And you rock up to this little hole somewhere and unload projectiles. And so I got a good mate who runs STS targets as well, so I'd take some of his targets. And so I've chosen the two best things in the firearms industry to deal with is heavy lead projectiles and heavy steel targets. And so I would travel the country in my van, probably way overloaded, and would decide in my with my stellar Collie back muscles, I would unload the van, set up a stall, and then pack all everything away again and do that back to back. And I think the 2019 I did it sort of through a little bit 2017, 2018 a lot, and then 2019 I spent 23 weeks on the road, and then COVID hit, and so but what it did was allow us to meet a lot of people. A lot of face-to-face, we had this sort of online business, but I was a real person and really cared and was a shooter and cared about people who shot. And so I got to meet a lot of people, and we built a good customer base from doing that on the road. And then COVID kicked in. We were forced. In fact, one of you guys said about the Wild Deer Expo was the last gun show that I did because it was the last gun show that ran.
Yeah.
At that point, and we came back, and then a week later we were all locked down. Yeah. And so we pretty much staring down the barrel of, I assumed when we were locked down, I'm like, well, if I was smart about this, I would spend my money on food, healthcare, and accommodation, and I would save everything else. Every other dollar I had, I would put aside because who knows what's going to happen. Not in a full prep way, otherwise I would have already been prepared, but in a way that was just like, oh, let's be sensible with something. So we canned. I think we probably kept Netflix, but canned everything else that we sort of could because we figure we're at home a fair bit. I don't even remember if I watched any of it. Oh, I watched Save the Last Dance. The Last Dance. We basically cut everything back. And so I said to my wife, I think 3 weeks, we're going to be done. So I'm like looking at my camera gear going, all right, how good am I at making videos? Because maybe this is my backup option. Like I'm sure we'll be watching lots of videos during this time. Maybe I can make videos. So I did. I started making videos, and I thought, well, if we're going to be out of business in 3 weeks, which was my prediction, let's lean into it and just try everything. And it was amazing. It gave me like an ability to just not care how this went, and freedom to try anything and just give it a go. And it literally exploded in those 3 weeks. We were doing that live show every night. Yep. We were doing as much video as we can. I was rewriting both websites, and I was spending my days just packing orders, and like every dollar we were selling stuff we were buying more stock. And the wife's like, shouldn't we maybe put some money aside for, whatever could happen, or like buy this and buy that? I'm like, well, we can't buy any toilet paper anyway. And, we could do that. But at the moment, if I can buy if I can buy another pack of projectiles, that's like another couple of bucks we could sort of buy a little bit more. And I said, while people are needing this stuff, let's keep trying. Let's keep doing that. And people couldn't get to their local gun shop for various reasons. And so people were buying online, and people were buying lots of things. And so what it was good for us was that we were well established in the online order fulfillment side of things. We were pretty good at it. And, much more than sort of I can sympathise, like a business that's set up to have people walk through the doors, and then like that option is now eliminated. And you got to all right, well, as of tomorrow, I can only sell online. What was the password to the website again? Like you're at that point where you're trying to sort of pivot your business very quickly. And a lot of guys who are running gun shops have been doing it for 20, 30, 40 years or however long they've been doing it. It's not easy for them to do that overnight. And we were there, we were ready to go. And so we had a lot of people jump on board as customers for the first time who'd never heard of us, but like Projectiles Online or whatever it was, trying to find it. Not so much scopes, a lot of projectiles at this time, because people were trying to build ammo and that sort of thing. Oh, they're like, well, I'm going to be at home for like 6 weeks. I can load ammo, can't shoot, so I won't buy the scope, but I can't, do that. And so we built a lot of customer base that maybe people, once they could go back to their gun shop, well, they'd go back to their gun shop and that was their local, but we might be their second choice. And they had a good experience with us, hopefully. And so they would, okay, the gun shop doesn't have what I want. Oh, these guys do. Oh, great. They were good to deal with last time. I'll go grab it. Yeah. And so we were very fortunate. At that time, we built enough of a customer base that has sort of built us to where we are at this stage.
Yeah, nice.
And then scoped out sort of as people went back shooting, scoped out, picked up more. And the thermal side of things started kicking in, which became a big thing because I guess people were trying to be out shooting perhaps when maybe they weren't meant to be and trying to stay a little low-key. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm making some assumptions here, but the thermal side of things certainly kicked on. And it's become, you guys would know. It's no anyone close to the industry is aware that thermals and night vision have become such a big thing. And the price point has come down so much that it has become much more attainable for most people.
Yeah, definitely.
It's interesting with the Projectile Warehouse because the first time I did see the packs of just 20 instead of the 100, I thought that was a ripper idea. It's pretty much a try before you buy because the price is pretty much not much compared to what you could spend.
Yeah, it is more expensive to buy it in the 10 pack or which we do now.
Yeah.
And not because I don't think 10 pack's the ideal amount. I think 30 is the ideal amount. But if you put in 10 packs, people can buy 10, 20, 30, whatever they think is appropriate for them. But it's more expensive to do that. But you also, if you went through a trial period of a whole stack of projectiles, at the end of the day it would be cheaper, which is the idea. You'd spend less money and would have tried 7 projectiles to find the 2 that really work for you, main one in your backup or whatever.
Yeah.
That was the idea.
Oh, that's an inspiring story, man. And we've had plenty of people on this podcast who've started a business or have had an idea about something or they've seen a better way of doing things. And I guess how a lot of businesses are born out of seeing the way something operates and going, I think it could be done this way and that's probably going to be a better result for people. And it sounds like you have a lot of genuine care for people in the shooting community and you want to see them get the best result for themselves, which is admirable, man. So
I do. Downstairs in my office, opposite wall was care written up on the wall because and I'm sure we don't get it right all the time. No one, I guess no one does, but we try, is that if we look at, write an email, because we did so much with email because we're online. Like, if I was going to get this email, would that make you feel good or bad? You're like, okay, that doesn't make me feel good if I get this email. All right, can I reword this? Can I change something? Can I add some value to it? And we, I'm sure we don't get it all the time, but hopefully we get it a lot more than we don't. And so I really do think about that. And we had a new guy start today. And I said, I am a bit particular about how we write stuff, like how we communicate stuff, because we found things that, ways to speak to people that work well, rather than just like, oh, that's out of stock, we'll let you know when it gets here. Yeah. Some stuff is out of stock and it happens at the moment. So how you communicate that, how you tell people you're going to sort of keep them posted on and stuff like that, it's important. It matters.
100%.
So,
Well, just keeping them posted, there's a lot of places out there that'll be like, we'll let you know when it comes in, and then you get nothing. You're like, you kind of understand if they, it's a big company and there's a lot of people that they've got to get through. But at the same time, if you're not going to do it, don't say it. Just be like, it's out of stock. We apologise for the inconvenience. Try again in a couple of months.
There's also,
but don't promise to get back to you and not get back to you.
That's terrible.
There's also a lot of places just don't get back to you.
That's what I just said.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. What you're saying, they've got like as in like when they don't even say it's out of stock or nothing like this sort of.
They don't reply at all.
Communication there at all.
Yeah, it's frustrating. We've been on the other end of that, and as I said, we don't always get it perfect, but the guy started today said, he gave me some feedback saying, like this is he's worked in retail before, and this is very different because of a lot of back end systems, and my memory's terrible, so I make sure everything's written down, and so we do a lot of things that sort of counteract with my memory. But it turns out it's not just my memory. A lot of people are not great at remembering everything that goes on. We're perfect when we're like 20. We remember everything, but then you get older and you drink more beer and then you move on to spirits, and then you start forgetting everything that happens in the day. And generally you may forget to get back to people with no intention of it might happen. But we try and do little sort of system things that the guys answer a phone call. It's for me. They send me a message, and then when I get the message, I tick the message to say I've got back to them. And if I don't tick it, they have permission to come up to me within the next day. They're like, "Have you rung this guy back?" No, all right, I will. And that's I expect them to hold me accountable to it. And that's the goal. That's the goal. So we're forever trying to get better.
Is it getting more complex as the bigger you get? It would be.
Yeah. Back when we. You run it by yourself and everything. You can keep tabs on it. Now there's 10 of us here, and it's a different beast. But it is. I actually really that's one. I guess that's one of my real passions is actually that business challenge, and I enjoy that sort of setup. And I get a lot of fulfillment out of seeing that work and sometimes not working, so fixing it and trying to improve things. And we've had a lot of stuff improve, and there's a lot of areas to continue to improve, but we keep working on it. Not satisfied where we are. We're happy with where we are. There's a Michael Jordan quote, if we're going to throw quotes in. I think it's attributed to Michael Jordan. But who knows if it is. Everything is great and everything can be better. Yeah. And it's a reflection on, hey, look, you've done good work. You've done good work, and actually sometimes be proud of the work you've done and what you've done and what you've achieved. Sometimes take a moment and be like, yeah, actually we're doing really good stuff. Excellent. And also, it could also be better. We're not stopping now. We're going to keep doing what we can. I mean, we've got plans for, particularly scoped out website, that we've got plans that I don't know how to, we haven't done them yet because I don't know how to do them on the website. I've certainly hit my coding level of knowledge by a long way. And so we need to get people in to do that. But we've got ideas of how to make your experience, if you go to the website, so much smoother and easier of like, hey, I've got this and I want to achieve this, put these sort of parameters in, and then it goes, hey, recommend this and this and this, these sort of things, and that takes a lot of work and effort, but that's the next step. But it's not bad now. We're doing all right. So keep trying to get better.
Awesome.
Very nice. I do have one.
You
more
found
question.
the burning question. All right, we'll make this the last question for us.
This is just for me.
The burning one.
This is just for me.
Is this an off-air question? Or is this
Well, no.
Did you need photo evidence or something? Is this, you want more photos of the gay tiger, don't you? This is where it's going.
It just reminded me of a joke, actually. But I can't
Here we go.
Can't remember it.
Yeah, I can't remember the wording. Something about a ruler. Jesus, that's right. Oh,
What are you measuring? He's forgotten the question now.
Yeah, it was fitting for the time, but I can't remember it. It's one of those things getting old.
See, the joy is you can just edit it in later.
I'll leave this in.
I'm tempted to just leave stuff in now so people can get an insight into you and your brain.
I don't really mind that much, mate. It's too much going on up there. But my question is,
Here we go.
so I was looking for a bipod I just got a 223 Ackley.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a hunting rifle / hybrid, but
now it's 12 kilos.
Yeah, it's more leading to the. Yeah, it's just for the range.
Yeah.
I'm looking for the bipod. I have an Atlas at the moment, but I find that there's not a lot of give in the Atlas legs.
Yep. In terms of movement.
Yeah. So when you're loading it up, like how it has that little bit of rock.
Yep.
I've been looking at the MDT, whatever the new one is, the
ground pod or the Skypod? Skypod, okay.
Yeah, but it is stupid money.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. Do you have a recommendation?
You stay with the Atlas.
Really?
Yeah, good. It's the first time I've ever heard someone say that lack of movement is desirable. Most people are fighting those Skypods to make them more like an Atlas.
Because I think it might be a bit of over-researching or over-complicating it in my head. Definitely. Because there's this guy in South Africa, he does a lot of YouTube stuff.
Pete?
Possibly.
Pete Milan? Back shooting?
That sounds about right.
I've got a video that you want to see later of him getting smacked with a wooden paddle in Vegas. But anyway, that's another story.
Okay, yeah, I want to see that video.
I thought you would.
But
shout out to Pete. I haven't made it public, Pete.
but it will be.
He's probably got one of me, actually. Anyway.
But he was sitting there talking about, and this, in theory, kind of makes sense in my head, that if you have too much, if you have a stiff leg and it rolls back, it's obviously got that hinge point and going to lift your point of muzzle up a little bit. Where if there's give, it just allows the rifle to recoil straight rearward. So, obviously that might just be me diving into it way too much and not enough time with different bipods. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah,
interesting.
I'll stay with the Atlas.
I'd suggest stay with the Atlas. To speak from experience that I've had, so bipods are one of the. So many of your audience listening will probably have picked up some of your audience listening. I don't want to degrade your audience. Some of your audience may have had experience previously with like a cheap $50, $70 Harris knockoff bipod.
Yeah.
All right. Is that a kosher way of saying
eBay special?
The old eBay special, right? And so you end up with one of those, right? And we would have guys come out in the training course and they'd be shooting with that sort of thing. And you see their group would be sort of all over the shop. You'd almost recognise the pattern of the group. Like, yeah, you watch them shoot, like, yeah, you're doing everything pretty well. You look at the group, you're like, yeah, you deserve a better group than that. You're like, can I swap your bipod out for a second? And they're like, oh, yeah, sure. So you take that out and you put a genuine Harris on there. And the biggest thing between those two is how much movement they have, right? Harris have a bit of movement, but nowhere near what a cheapy brand has. They're all sloppy. And instantly you would halve their group size or not, if not more. From nothing, no other changes, just the bipod. And it's because every time they're leaning into, they're inconsistent with how they're doing it. I hadn't thought about the shifting of it, but I would actually think that a bipod that moves, because it's moving forward, it's changing the pitch of your gun. And so you actually may get a little bit more jump from that, I would have thought. But anyway, and we change that over and they instantly see a benefit. So a bipod that has more ability to lock up, I have seen accuracy increase significantly from that. And so there's guys who make shim kits for those Skypods to tidy them up a lot more. And you'll notice that obviously it's something MDT recognised because their Gen 1s versus their Gen 2s. Their Gen 2s are heaps tighter.
Oh, okay.
Much tighter. Yep. So MDT obviously recognised it as an issue and have fixed it or improved it into a bipod that doesn't have as much slop in it. So I would stay with the Skypods. So I've got a Skypod and I've got an Atlas and we sell both. So I'm not particularly biased on either one. I use Skypods are very unique in that you need to really know how to use them extremely well to make the most of them. Very, very usable in a competition circumstance. I haven't used mine enough to get the most out of it. Anytime I go to shoot off a tyre though, like a tyre that's round, like round, one of those tyres is not round.
Square ones are bastards.
Look at me making Josh level looks. Anyway, so one of those ones that's like flat on the ground. And so you've got like quite a width across it. I will generally run the Skypod across that so you can get the width of it and then you put it on and it gives you a really comfort set, whereas the Atlas obviously wouldn't. You either have to go off the front of it and lean all the way over the tyre, or if you go the back of it and sort of really cramp up a little bit. And so they have their place. But I'll go from that and I'll move across to like the front of a car or something like that, and I'll yeet the Skypod off and put the Atlas back on and move across to that because I find the Atlas locks up better, is more comfortable, more solid to shoot from. So that's my experience with it. I haven't thought about it in that way that you're talking about it. Maybe I'll go watch Pete's video and see what he says. But I wonder if that was done with the Gen 1.
I think it was Gen 2 actually.
Gen 2?
I think. Not entirely sure, so I don't really want to pass comment. But it seemed like there was a lot more movement than like I remember watching the video, getting my Atlas out, and I'm like,
I wouldn't see it as desirable. No. If there was a lot of movement, I suspect it was a Gen 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll go watch the video and if I disagree with him,
Let him know.
I beat him in a drinking competition, so I've got that going for me.
South Africans would be able to drink.
Maybe. Well, there you go. We've just witnessed first-hand customer service and recommendation from Rusty to Josh with the
Perfect.
questions. So,
Yeah, it was an off-air question.
I've been thinking that for the last couple of weeks, and I'm like, what do I do? Do I just buy one or not? And then obviously knowing that you were coming on, I'm like, oh, wait. That's the question.
Set him up. Yeah. Set him up.
Fair enough. All right, well, Rusty is a busy man. We should let him go. We've held him up long enough, and you've been very generous with your time, Rusty. So we do have to say a big thank you to you
Oh, easy. Thanks for
being
having
on
me.
the podcast. And, yeah,
How can people get a hold of you on Instagram and all that?
and your website for your business, all that sort of gear. Do the plug thing.
All right, scoped out on everything. Projectile Warehouse on everything. Impact Dynamics is the most fun to watch when we put up the most stupid content on there as well. If you want to check out PRS, Precision Rifle Series, across everything, you'll find us pretty much on all those brands you'll find on, where do we go? Josh needs me. The prompters, you'll be Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Vero, and you can find us on Be Real as well.
What the
If you want all of those. We got another podcast.
Yeah, don't worry about that, Josh.
The last one was called Instagram is Dead, and there's reasons why. So anyway, Instagram's dead. Long live Vero. Here we go. Wow, we've delved down another whole pathway. Let's end this podcast before Josh walks in and we start talking social media.
Sounds good. Let's get out of here. Rusty, thank you.
Easy.
Have a good night, mate.
Thank you very much, man.
Cheers, boys.
Easy. Tune in next week. Catch ya.
Yeah,
Catch you later. Jesus, that was terrible, Caleb. Catch you, ladies and gentlemen, next week. See you later.
good week, man.
Fucking hell. G'day, dude and dudettes. Josh here. Do you find it hard to keep your long, hard barrels free from gun STDs? Maybe you need a clean out of your bore. If this is you, jump on over to highcaliber.com.au and use the promo code SENDITMATE to receive a 10% discount on all your gun cleaning needs. And remember, it's sexy to support Australian-made products. Everyone here at Send It Mate uses high caliber, and we can promise you that it'll keep your firearms free from those pesky gun STDs.